I was going to make a different video from this one, but this one just came to me quickly and I just went grrr on the keyboard. Anyway, these are the things I wish I knew in my 20s. Yo, KB here. So today I want to talk about some of the things I wish I knew in my 20s. I've left timestamps below, so feel free to jump around the video as you please. Right, let's get to it. I'm 32 now and I can remember my 21st birthday like it was yesterday. It was rubbish. That's a story for another day. But over the past 10 years, there's been a lot of things I wish I knew back then. Certain decisions I would have made or not made. Some of the decisions I made back then are still affecting me today. But saying that, a lot of the things I experienced in my 20s were good life lessons. So I think it's actually important that someone out there learns these lessons too. At the top of the list, the biggest one has to be finances. Finances are at the top because I think a lot of us struggle with that even beyond our 20s. I wish I had been that little bit more financially savvy. I spent my early 20s studying at university, and during my first year or freshers year, I experienced for the first time being able to have an income while not working. And this income was from the government grant and the student finance and student loan, maintenance loan I got. I saw it as free money and I didn't think much of the fact that I have to pay back at some point, even though I knew it. So I became reckless with my spending, the way I spent my money. I bought a 32-inch flat screen TV before my parents even owned one. And I bought an Xbox, which I never unpacked. And whenever we went grocery shopping, I was rather extravagant. I got my first credit card ever, which is what I used to buy the TV, by the way. And I maxed it out in no time. As you can imagine, in no time, I was broke with credit card debt and no job. So I started dodging bus fares and train fares whenever I needed to travel because I couldn't pay the fares. So you may be thinking, dang bro, you were so irresponsible and careless. And yes, it was. And if you're lucky enough to have not made stupid decisions like I did, then great. But there's one or two lessons to take on from this. All I needed was someone to teach me how to budget the little money I got for free while I studied. Budget, budget, budget. Knowing how to allocate every penny I got would have meant that my money wasn't going to run out as quick as it did. I would have also loved to understand how credit cards work. The fact that credit card money is money that's put out of thin air by banks, and that's something that you only use in emergencies. I didn't know that. Well, I didn't think of it. In addition to all of that, if I knew more about money, I would have saved up instead of spending more. By knowing to save, let's say, at least £50 a month, I would have had a couple of £1,000 saved up by the time I finished uni and be debt free. I got a job later, but I still found myself running out of money before the end of the month and not being able to pay the electric bill in winter. Again, that's because I didn't know how to budget. I'll talk about budgeting at some point. The second item on the list is I wish I would have just gotten started instead of procrastinating. But it seems procrastination is still a problem today. This channel was meant to have been started in 2016, nearly 5 years ago. It's a common thing to not start on your studies, exam preparation, that assignment or report or whatever until the very last minute. But I think with maturity, I've become better at it. In another video, we'll discuss how to overcome procrastination and get started. One quick tip I want to share right now though is that if you are procrastinating to write that essay, just start with that one line, even if it doesn't make sense. Spill your gut out and evaluate the material later. Once you've gained momentum, you'll find everything starting to come together easily. Don't try and write quality content at first, you just want to get started. And in many cases, the reasons we procrastinate is that we are intimidated or overwhelmed by this enormous task ahead of us. We don't even know what to tackle first. Most of the time when I need to write my scripts for my videos, I've got a vague idea of what I want to talk about, but I never know what I'll talk about in detail until I start writing, and then the ideas start flowing. Like right now, I'm not evaluating what I'm writing, I'm just spitting it out. That's not part of the script, bro. Oh, okay. Setting time aside to write a rubbish paragraph each day is a start, and that's what getting started is all about. After all, a rubbish paragraph is better than a blank page. Getting started with something quickly also means that you find out sooner if you will fail or not. And the sooner you fail, the sooner you can then move on to the next option. I got my professional job through a graduate scheme, which a friend of mine had told me about many times before, but I chose not to listen. And it's mainly because I couldn't be bothered at that time, if I'm honest. I was comfortable in my Starbucks job where I got free coffees and seemed to be going up the ranks of supervisor and potentially manager one day. Part of why I hesitated to apply for the graduate scheme is because I was going for jobs that in many cases require someone with a bit of experience in the industry. And so by then, I had lost a bit of my confidence that I would even be able to get on this graduate scheme. I think the 20s are all about experimenting. Careers change. What you may want to do now may not necessarily be what you'll be doing in 10 years' time. And I should have just taken that opportunity of the graduate scheme sooner to find out if I would like it or not, fail or not, and fail fast. I made a lot of new friends in my 20s, but one thing I didn't know is that friendships never really remain the same. Some will grow, some will not. One day you'll grow up and you will not have the same time and energy you used to have in your younger years. You'll get a new job that's very demanding and perhaps even start a family, which will take up even more of your time. So build those friendships and bonds during the time when you are young and grow with them. In my 20s, I found I had the most time and the energy. I used to produce music, I used to DJ at parties and all sorts because I had all the time in the world. That meant I could meet a lot of people at parties and all of that, but I didn't take time to nurture some of the important friendships I formed back then. There are so many things I could list that I wish I knew in my 20s, like how I should have traveled more. Frankly, I wasn't bothered about that then, or maybe I should have paid more attention to my studies and so on. But the main takeaway from this should be that your 20s are the time to experiment. If you are single, go on more dates, but get out of that relationship quickly if it's not working out for you. And if you want to pursue a business idea, do it right then when you still have a lot of time, assuming you're not a family caregiver or anything like that. Feeling lost in your 20s is quite common. At some point, you're likely to be confused and not know what you want to do with your life. But don't pressure yourself to succeed quickly. Take time to explore and consider all your options. And always remember that the choices that you make in your 20s may affect the future you in your 30s. Peace.